Hello, I'm director Jack Peterson, the genius behind The Dork of the Rings and my new film, The Throbbit, an epic fantasy that's going to win me many more awards than I can put on my mantelpiece in New Zealand. Now, this behind-the-scenes documentary is going to show you all the hard work that went into the film over the past 3 years, none of which was mine. I hope you enjoy.
Oh jeez, these guys are so damn annoying with their crappy music and stupid hairdos.
The process of writing was a really joyous for us because we were writing something that was a lot of fun, especially writing about an author who I really respect, J.R.R. Tolkien's, work. And this was an easier project than doing Dork of the Rings, which was taking the whole Lord of the Rings cycle and condensing some 1,000 pages into one movie. And with The Hobbit, we had the benefit of having a quest story, period.
The biggest thing, of course, is you got to have a good script. And I remember reading the script with Tim. He came over to my house and we sat down, we read through the script. And there were many times I literally just laughed out loud just from reading it. And that's not something that happens too much for me because when I'm reading through, I'm thinking about how things are going to work out. But there were so many times I just thought the jokes were great.
He's a big fan of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and in fact he said, hey, you decide to do a Hobbit parody, he goes, I'd be willing to play the main character. So we're like, well, that's basically like half of our work done for us right there.
When you're doing parody, you have the benefit of having of punning. So we knew we were dealing with, for example, with the dweebs, we were dealing with, nerd type characters. So it was easy for us to go with goblins for Google, for example. So it's just playing off of certain word play that goes on.
We were going from the book basically at first because that's all we had really, and then when more of the movie stuff came along, we would be like, oh, look at this guy looks cool, what can we do for that? Like Qwerty was basically the guy with the axe in his head, so we were like, hey, let's throw a keyboard in his head.
Rumpelstiltskin! I'll kill you! Over here! You bloody hell!
Finally, it did work out for us is that we were able to throw out ideas, come back, I'll be typing them up, and Tim would be doing voices, and everyone was collaborating together, and it made things a lot faster, tighter, easier to write, more fun.
When it comes to food and when it comes to movies, I love some grade A cheese, and so the script I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was well written and exactly the kind of campy thing that I was looking for.
One of the things that I loved about the script when I read it was all the characters and the way they came together. You have one guy that's sort of a takeoff of David Bowie, the Three Stooges, the Borat character, and it meshes them all so well into this world that is the Throbbit. And it's just amazing to see how that all came together.
The crowdfunding had become really popular with putting films together, and we realized that we had been making films for a long time, and that especially our last two films being big parodies had been really well received, and so we kind of had a little bit of a following of people, and we thought, we can make films pretty cheap, we'll set a reasonable goal, we'll see whatever money we can raise.
It's the Throbbit, it's not a porno. Give us your money, and they do.
I would see a goal, a number goal, and it's like, 1,000 here, it's like, well, they might make it, then that goal would be reached, and then on to the next one, It's like, well, when, at some point, like, is this going to stop?
I was amazed by the generosity of the people that gave. It was great.
I don't know if it would have been as successful with Kickstarter because they would have said, oh, well, they're going to take, X amount of dollars per whatever is made. And I think that's part of the reason that it worked really well. And it was a unique fundraiser. It was a lot of fun. And just to see some of the advertising for it was just hilarious.
You got a diet soda. We thank you for the invitation. It is sure to be a journey you'll never forget.
Journey. Started off Dork of the Rings and I was playing Frodo Buggins. And then 10 years later, Tim decided to do parody of The Hobbit, so I got asked to play Bobo Buggins.
He's always spot on. Not only is he really good with his acting chops, but he helps out in every aspect of the movie because he knows that the more other people help, the quicker we get done, the better things look.
I was envious that he was a nectomorph and so skinny.
Yeah, obviously, Bryce has done so much work for Richardson Productions, and it really shows in his enthusiasm, the way he embraces the role, the way he puts so much energy and effort into what he's doing.
He put all my nerves at ease. He made it incredibly fun. He let me dive right into it. He dove right into it.
He was incredibly just wonderful with ad-libbing, adding his own flavor, spin to things in the movie, to the character, looking at the character arc and giving us input, which we always love to get from our actors.
Wake up, old man.
I was dreaming I was at a Mexican wedding. I was the bride.
Scott had big shoes to fill after Dave Kiefer passed away, and I don't know if I would have had the guts to do what he did.
The Gandalf character is so iconic, and likewise our Randolph character had become quite iconic through the different conventions that we had promoted Dork of the Rings at, and so we were really, really happy and pleased to have him.
It's a lot of fun to work with him. You never quite know what you're going to get out of him, but you know it's going to be amusing.
Scott must have to do some sort of face exercises every day. He must have a routine, like he does 100 eyebrow lifts every day or something like that, or 20 nose twitches to the left.
Gentlemen, the PowerPoint.
Well, I played Torrent, and he is very much the office manager type of the dweebs.
He had a baritone that he brought to the part, so we put a bodysuit on him. Before we knew it, he was kingly.
He brought just that perfect sense of nobility and pride to a role that in its essence is still a dweeb.
Will's gonna go far. He's funny, he's smart, he's good looking, and those blue eyes of his can melt anybody. I was close to going, oh, Will.
Here, it's just your size.
Oh,
Thanks.
Actually, she was one of the best actors we had for uncovering the character, because I would go to her and I say, what do you think Ram would be doing right now?
Wow, the energy she had, the enthusiasm for the project, she's just so passionate about acting, and she's done a lot of different film work, and I know that she really enjoyed being part of this particular cast and having a lot of fun on it, and we had a lot of fun with her.
You know what? It was awesome. You want to know why? Because those guys they made me feel so comfortable that after a while, I just would get dressed in the same room with them and nobody batted an eye. It was like being part of a family of brothers.
Oocha magoocha. I came out with my accent because I can do this accent pretty easily, I think. It just comes right out of me. I don't know how. But then once I had the accent down, I'm like, well, okay, I need to come up with swear words that can be used that are G-rated and family friendly.
I don't think anybody could have asked for a better cursor.
He became Cursor at all moments.
Again, another person perfectly cast because he's just he harnesses that anger and releases it in, I don't want to say unexpected ways, but ways that definitely will get your attention.
Excuse me, badass. Can you tell me, how do we go from here to the bypass?
We were just so fortunate to have Joe on this piece. He's one of the funniest characters in the movie, period.
So QWERTY, he's very loyal. He's very motivated. But he's also very single-minded about some strange things, particularly breakfast food. He seems to be very hungry all the time, and isn't afraid to say so in very odd and random ways.
Is the entire trip gonna be like this? Most likely. I'm so sorry.
Oh, son of a
pine cones!
Jeff brought a physicality, a humorous physicality to the part which it needed, because the guy's got a QWERTY keyboard stuck in his head. It was a pleasure to work with Jeff. It really was.
I was on level 10 of Banana Blaster.
I am sick and tired of that benevolent banana super loser.
Oh, you take that back. His banana ring is legendary.
They play off each other so well, and of course had done so before in other films, Harvey Potter, and yeah, they I mean, they more than anybody else just epitomize the core geekiness of the dweeb role.
You can't have Y without Phi. I mean, those guys working off each other, just like they did with Harvey Potter, you could tell they'd done it before. I mean, they had the sense, as Y and Phi, they had the sense of being around each other so much.
David, too, is a comic book aficionado like myself. So he was, you know, we were able to work very closely together. And Daniel is wonderful, too. I mean, and he was able to bring, they were both able to bring that geek glow, that nerdist element that we wanted so badly for these characters.
And so Fluffy basically just has to eat. He just has to eat and belch and be the butt of jokes and so forth. And he really took it in stride and really worked hard in helping develop his costume, and so we're very glad to have him involved not only on screen but as behind the scenes as a producer.
Dakota was great. You know, you gotta, you know, walk around in a fat suit for 12 hours a day, which is, you know, a lot to ask of anyone. But no, he embraced it. Always very, very good humored about everything, and was fun to work with.
Who saw him last? Floppy, did you eat the Throbbits?
All right, who the heck packed these lunches today?
I did, Schmo.
Oh, you did ya? Well, that explains why you got a giant roast ham and all I got was turnips.
Turnips? Oh boy, those are healthy for you.
Working with Ed and Dan was really great. I'd worked with Dan previously on a few different projects, and Ed I had met briefly on the set of Harvey Potter, so I kind of knew the guys a little bit. But it was a lot of fun working with those guys and trying to figure out the chemistry. Nobody is ever going to be as good as the Three Stooges when it comes to that type of chemistry, but we really, really tried, and we had a lot of fun doing it.
Really hard to kind of get that down, but once we got into the motion of doing it, it was easy and it was fun, and it was a blast.
We spent all day watching the brats, doing laundry, sweeping glades. And what do? They come home and plop their butts down in front of the TV and ask us what's for dinner. Yeah!
The poor nags, they were here so late that night. I mean, we all were, but they were the ones here the latest, and they were acting, you know, till I think it was close to 1 in the morning.
Because obviously, I mean, what's scarier than an angry woman? So obviously we were able to parlay that into a very entertaining scene, and of course we had a great cast of women that stepped into those roles and embraced them fully.
They were really energetic, and it was a late shoot too. They were shooting at 1, 2 in the morning, so they had their energy. They never wavered. It was a good group of people to watch.
Yashalmacha! My name is Barrett. Who are you peoples?
Shapeshifter, huh? More like furry.
I have to admit, I wasn't prepared for Barrett. He took everything I thought it was going to be and just exponentially added on to it. Holy cow, he took off with that thing, dead sprint. I mean, and it was great to watch as well. I mean, everything that it needed to be, he did it and more.
He's not the shapeshifter, he's just a guy in a suit that looks like a bear.
Dweebs? Is that ogre looking at us?
Dweebs? Well, he is definitely looking at us.
There's no real easy way to describe what it's like having green paint put on you for, you know, maybe a good 45 minutes, an hour, when it's already 90 degrees outside in kind of like a rainforest type scenario. And so the biggest struggle by far was just keeping the paint on and then keeping the prosthetics on.
So what I do is, you don't want I get the sponge wet, but then I kind of squeeze it because you don't want it loaded or it all runs.
Right.
And then it's just to get enough wet, and then if you just kind of
just said the word runs.
Evenly spread it.
Out of the sponge. That does not sound.
That's the magic of low budget films, people. That's the magic.
It's the spectacular Spider Dude. He's come to save us. Spider Dude just ruined my Spider Dude comic book. How I throw up for that?
The yellow leotards and the black women panties that were like a size too tight. Those poor boys will be talking like this probably for a long time afterwards. I really.
Well, I've always really had the ability to crack my voice. I don't know where it came from, but I've always been able to do this.
You know, you got dweebs versus dweebs. It's not going to end well. But no, it provided for a great little scene, and you know, of course, you got three kids who are never gonna live down the spandex, and yeah, don't let their girlfriends see the film. Wait, they don't have girlfriends. What am I saying?
And Kieran Shaw.
Wait a minute. I thought this was Hobbit. Wrong sack. I'm still getting paid, right?
They're all part of the expedition.
And he's been in The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, you name it, he's been in it. World's smallest stuntman working in film. We were very fortunate to have him become a dear friend of ours. We met him while promoting Lord of the Rings. He did an introduction for that film. He came out and played Dumpy the House Schmuck for Harvey Potter. And he came on as a producer for the Throbbit and also has a little cameo in the film. So, just such a fascinating guy. I mean, I wouldn't be able to say anything more about him that would do any kind of justice other than we're very grateful for his friendship and his support of our project.
It screams volumes about production quality. That somebody that was in these big budget productions has taken an interest and wants to see it brought to life.
To me, when somebody that has that type of accreditation, somebody from the Hollywood, culture comes and says, you know what, I believe enough in this project where I'm going to help with the project, I'm going to be a part of it, whether it's on screen, behind the scenes, or whatever, and he comes on and does both. It's amazing.
With you guys will go, okay, Kiran, here's the camera. Come on, learn about that. And for me, it's great experience.
The costuming was brilliant. Not only you've got this gang of dweebs who, each one of them has their own very individual personalities, and of course the costuming has to reflect that, but at the same time there has to be enough similarities that you understand that they're all this one race all working together.
The one that pops out most is, of course, Randolph's costume. It's the same exact one that was worn by David Kiefer in Dork of the Rings. So that was very, very cool that it held up and it still stands the test of time, that it was built really well, constructed really well.
It's still a classic. I like Randolph's costume. I've always liked Randolph's costume.
The other costume I really liked was Qwerty, because just like his character that he's based off of in the Hobbit movie, he's got something embedded in his head. It's not an axe this time, though. It's a keyboard.
There's that, which is was kind of heavy actually. It is, you kind of have to keep your head balanced a certain way, and then when you take it off, you're wondering why your neck is always cocked a certain way.
And then there was Y and Phi. One looked like the character from Super Mario Brothers with the mushroom hat on, and the other had like the Google Glass. I thought the costumes were, again, that was well thought out. Everybody's costume fit them.
I was particularly impressed with how the drag queen was rendered. Having to get this theme of a dragon slash transvestite slash, just keep slashing. It's just really creative and really driving home the point of who the characters are supposed to be.
I think I made it look very good. The blonde wig, and then the amazing talents of Kathy Heidi spending probably an hour and a half each time I was on set getting me into makeup, and completely transforming the way that I looked.
My costume was very simple. It was a pair of shorts that were mine, a pair of work boots, like the caterpillar boots that were mine, and then a flannel shirt with the sleeves cut off and fake tattoos. Oh, and the mullet wig. I'll say this: it's the most comfortable I've been on set ever. It was more closely to what I would wear around the house.
I like Cursor's costume. I thought, I don't know, maybe I'm just partial, maybe it's that 4% of Scotsman that I have in me. But seeing that big giant Scotsman with the humongous beard and the kilt and everything else like that, to me, it just fit.
This is what, I mean, it's iconic. When people see pictures of me as Cursor, they're like, I love those goggles, man. I'm like, yeah, you know, because they're mine now. I'm keeping them. I got them right on my desk in a place of honor. So I love these goggles. They're the best, man.
Well, I'm glad you love them, but we're actually gonna need those back. They're property of Richardson Productions.
But I love
You know, I mean,
I love the goggles.
Yeah, no.
I want to keep the goggles.
No, we got
No,
it.
Tim, you don't give me the. I want Tim.
So, what was it like working on the Bug End set?
I'm not answering anything until I get the goggles back.
The first day of filming is always really exciting, and in this case, the first day of shooting included pretty much all the main characters. We were shooting the interior Bug End in our garage, and so we had all the people working together, some people who had worked together before with us on past projects, but also a lot of new faces as well, so it was really interesting to see the chemistry coming together, getting to work with Dave Stilson and the production crew for the first time, and I think we did pretty well.
And I was a little nervous at first because I was meeting these people, hadn't met them before, wasn't sure how they'd be outside of their characters, and they were absolutely just open arms, just welcome. We're gonna have fun, you're gonna have fun, let's get this thing done, and it's gonna be a blast. And after that, it was all smiles from there.
It was really surprisingly easy to be able to settle into this role, this new environment. And I mean, it was fun despite all the challenges. I mean, instantly, you know, we could tell we were, you know, part of something special.
I think probably my favorite memory was the first day of shooting out in the woods, and this young kid, probably 10 years old, comes up to me, and he says, "Why didn't they just have a woman play the drag queen?"
So were you excited or were you scared?
I was nervous.
Why were you nervous?
I don't know, because I didn't know what it was going to be like, and I didn't know anybody in the movie.
But you met some people, didn't you? Who did you meet?
Paisley.
What did you think of her?
She has a beard.
You see like the making ofs and all this and that, like, oh, we work with green screen. You just think, wow, that's got to be, it can't be that hard. It's that hard.
It was a really unique experience to check that out and get more familiarized with how green screen works.
It was a really interesting experience for me. Meeting all these great and talented people, not only the cast but the crew, was a really awesome.
I was really amazed with what Tim can do on a shoestring budget. He's a consummate professional and obviously feels very passionate about his work.
I think they're just a bunch of wankers. I just can't stand those guys. No, I'm just joking. That's just a joke. Cut. Tim and Michael, again, the parodies they come up with and the way they do films, it's so much fun just to be a part of it. And the thing I don't understand is how they wrangle people into doing that stuff for free. And actually, I do know how they do it, because people want to share their craft, and Tim and Michael are no exception.
He's a really cool guy, and Michael Corbettes as well. It was great meeting both of them and being here to work on their project, their little babies.
It's always fun. I love the fact that they're open to ideas. I mean, it's very difficult when you fall in love with a project so much and you own so much of it to make any kind of changes, but they're very receptive.
Tim did a really good job of keeping everything light and airy, just a lot of fun. We got really good work done, but we had a blast doing it. I've done a little bit of live theater before, and the atmosphere, needless to say, was a touch different than what this was. But all in all, it was the kind of environment that I appreciated being in.
I knew that this movie was gonna be, it was gonna look really good on the first day because there was Dave Stilson and Robert Campbell who showed up, and I'd never worked with them before, and they were behind the camera and behind the sound, and they worked really good, and they were really fun to work with too. And Dave he laughs at almost everything that we were doing on camera, so that makes you feel like you're doing your job great. And then Rob, he sits there with his sweet mustache, just curling it all the time.
Rob had an amazing mustache. Oh, God.
From the first day, I wanted to make sweet love to Rob's mustache. That thing is magnificent. I had never seen a mustache like that before. It's just perfectly proportioned.
Yes, the train is coming. My plan is Can you hear the train?
Being able to meet them and see how they work, I managed to get like the flow of everything, and now back in Portugal, I am able to put some of that to practice and be a better DP and filmmaker myself.
Play my favorite music. You know, sing, quickly.
We're very fortunate to have Milky Rodriguez help us. He was able, does a marvelous, is also a DP in his full right, in his own right. And he helped us with our cafe center, our Dweebathon scene. Brought in the Kessler Crane, bless his heart. And I can say unabashedly a wonderful addition to our whole production team.
Dagnabbit! You flying varmint! I'll get you yet!
Janice is such a wonderful, nice lady, and the thing that's so cool about Janice, she not only can she make great costumes, obviously the Randolph costume is great, and it's so good that it won an award at one of the conventions we went to, but she gives up so much of her free time for a production like this. She lives in Indianapolis, and she still would drive all the way up to southern Michigan to help out with these productions, and whatever she did, she always did really, really great. She didn't really make a big deal about it. She's so humble with how good she is.
We're also very fortunate to have Fabio Santos come out from Portugal. He was someone we had met online during making of Harvey Putter, looking for effects artists. One thing led to another, and he ended up, helping out with the project with our fundraiser on our website, and then came over during the summer to shoot with us for a month.
When he said he was doing the Throbbit, I had to be here.
A wonderful, wonderful person to work with. Unfortunately, I was challenged by having to speak Portuguese all the time, and now I can't stop.
I'd be interested to see in 3 to 5 years what Fabio does, because that'll be interesting, I think, to see.
He'll be fabulous.
Fabulous!
This is gonna be
Hey, what's up, Troy?
Hey, what do you think of the crane?
Check, it's like we're on a real movie set or something. Check.
It was really nice having something up each week, brand new about the film coming out throughout the summer. It really kept people on edge for what was next to come. The biggest thing about having video on the web is that it's continuous and it comes out on a schedule, and it gets people really interested when there's something new every week that they can look forward to.
I never cease to be amazed at what Troy was able to do in what 1 week. He could really pull it together, and that was, again, Troy was just so much fun to work with. Especially, you love working with people who have got these skill sets, who want to work with you, who want to learn from you, and you can learn from them. And that was just that our crew was just terrific.
It was very efficient. I mean, everybody was very down to earth. They were awesome, but they knew what they were doing, and they got it done.
Everything, I mean, there were so many people volunteering, making sure that everything went very smoothly, and it seemed like everyone knew their responsibilities. No one needed a lot of direction, no one needed a lot of hand-holding. People, I think, as a whole, were just really invested in the project, and were willing to do whatever it takes to get shots done on a given day and to move on.
Puppets! My God, did we have a lot of puppets on this film, especially for one particular scene, I should say, is where all the puppets were. We had the Goblins, and the Goblins came about because we wanted to parody Labyrinth with David Bowie and all the Muppety puppets that were in that film. So we had the Goblin King, and we wanted to surround him with puppets of our Goblins, and we love puppets, and so any chance we can get to put puppets into a project, you know, we'll do it. However, doing that many puppets requires a lot of time and talent and energy and puppeteers and, you know, a lot more things that have to come together than just doing, say, obviously an actor just giving a performance.
Just going off of them was quite the entertaining time.
It was a challenge, of course, because you're having to look at a puppet, but again, with the person voicing it, then it became very easy.
So cool to look at. I just want to be able to have a puppet. Maybe I'll just move my hand in my mouth like this. What do you think? I think you look like an idiot. Who asked you? You did, if I do believe. So yeah, the puppet people had so much fun. I think I could tell they were digging it.
Jump on the keyboard, make your fingers move.
Ken just knocked it out of the park. His dancing is hysterical. His codpiece is quite funny too.
Out of all the performances that I saw, he was probably my favorite one out of the whole thing.
Yeah, he really did a brilliant job of finding that character and making it his own, while still retaining all the Bowie-esque influence.
It looked, great in the way he was dancing around and lip syncing and the actual singing too. It was really, really great.
We shot on Tim's property at his house, and that's probably 2/3 of the movie, is shooting just around his house, and we shot so many different places around his house that it's like all these different parts of Muddle Earth, and so that was really, really cool to be able to do that, especially since we had a home base. We didn't have to go far, we didn't have to pack everything up every single week. We knew where stuff was, we knew what facilities we could use, and we had a sweet picnic table set up. That was really great with a campfire. You can't beat a roaring campfire.
Then of course you have the green screen shooting, which is a totally different experience, because then you obviously not only have to be in character, but you have to sort of envision this environment that you're in and sometimes act off of people or objects that aren't even there. That's a whole new experience and a whole different type of acting.
Hey, excuse me. Who are you and what are you doing in my home?
Which we built both the interior and the exterior for that. It was great, squeezing it into my parents' garage, like we had done for the train set, for example, in Harvey Putter. And it really made it, not only convenient, of course, to have it right there at my house, but it was one of the first days of shooting. It was really great to be on a set and not have green screen and get people into the mood.
I thought it was a good way for the cast to kind of come together figuratively and literally, because it was kind of confined, but it had to be that way.
And there was a scene that's supposed to be chaos. Well, it was so natural that it was chaotic because there was no room to move. So there was very little acting going on, I think, with that, because it just naturally, with all those people smashed in there, you had nothing else to do but be all nervous and jittery.
Mama, where'd all these beards come from? I ain't complaining or nothing, but they kind of smell.
Especially when it came to Hicktown, which was a log cabin was used basically for most of Hicktown that I saw anyway. Just cheated in certain ways, things like that. It was beautiful. It was just a really nice area to work in. It was a lot of fun to see that world come to life.
Shot at Merriman's Playhouse in South Bend. That was really cool that they opened up their business to us. That was a really, really fun location, especially since they had so many people come in there and basically, act like it was just a crazy mob in there, especially when our torrent decided to do a little strip tease. If I were to describe the whole farm scene, everything shot at the farm, in just a few words, I would say utter chaos.
I never expected to find myself shooting a scene in a barn surrounded by goats on a tabletop in front of me. Didn't really see that coming, but hey, it's an experience I'll certainly never forget.
Seemed to grow quite the bond with the chickens. They seemed rather attracted to me. I'm not sure if it was something on the Cape or what it was, but no, it was a blast going everywhere.
I think to a large degree this is where Tim and Michael's mastery comes out at its greatest, or its finest, if you will, because they're not afraid to shoot anywhere, at any time, in any situation, which lends itself to some really pretty magnificent shots. Like
one thing we learned through our last two films, since they were epic fantasy films, was that you can't rush the post-production. You know, our past films, you know, usually took, you know, a year to a year and a half from beginning to end, but these really take, you know, several years or more to pull together. Usually what we found on Dork of the Rings is you film one summer and 2 years later, that next summer, you know, 2 summers later, the movie comes out, because we have a very small crew. It's a very specialized talent. People are, you know, donating their time. So we use that same model from, you know, Dork of the Rings and Harvey Potter for the Throbbit.
The advent of technology currently just gets better and better for us to be able to really use a green screen, blue screen to create, you know, CGI, computer graphics. And I can't underestimate the amount of talent that we have around us, including within our team, that puts these special effects together.
It's amazing what shooting with the high definition cameras have really just been able to make everything look better, even the visual effects. Just a real quick keying out of some stuff, and you don't get any of the harsh edges and the weird halos that you would get when we shot on just regular digital video.
I think the people that are working on the special effects will go far in their career because of how well the special effects look in this film. And again, it's like the acting, it's like the people behind the scenes. They want to show, they want to give their talent. And the special effects folks have come across with that big time.
Mainly, I've been doing. I've done the main opening sequence and opening credit with a map.
We've been able to work with the magnanimous Jim Pickens now for years. Tim and I both consider him best friend, and I hope he thinks that way about us. But last time I got that hate mail from him, I wasn't sure. But no, just kidding. The point is this: no, Jim is just a brilliant man, and we've been fortunate to be able to work with him. And he's taught us many a trick in the digital domain realm, if you will.
We are incredibly excited about the future of this film. We got a taste of it during the last two films that we made. Going to conventions and different film festivals, meeting people from the original Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films. So it's going to be really cool to go down that road.
The public is more, not accepting of parody, but they get it. I think they're getting it now and how funny it can be, and I think they can appreciate the humor. So I hope that this film really, really moves in terms of getting people to watch it. Because face it, that's why we're all doing this. We want people to watch this.
Well, thank goodness that Tim keeps asking me to doing films for him, because I don't normally do anything like this, and it's really fun to have a chance to not only just do some sort of acting, but like I said before, I'm such a huge Tolkien fan, so I get to do something that is something that I really enjoy in a world that I really enjoy, and I like being able to do that sort of thing.
You know, comedy is not an easy thing to do, so I do hope that we were able to put something forward that people look at and just want to laugh.
Because that's why we do this. We make films, we act, or we direct, or we do post, or do puppets, everything is for the love of it, but also we're all entertainers in our own, whether you're in front of the camera or behind it. When that product comes out, we're all in that together, and to be able to entertain a crowd like that is just going to be amazing.
I'm always going to have the memory of the friends I made and the people I met, and to me that is what life's all about. You get to meet people, you get to meet all these different personalities, and I like diversity, and I'll always remember these people I met and the experiences we had. It's one of those things where I was there, I can say I was there, and I was a part of it, and that is awesome.
Wow! Holy cats and bananas! That sure looked like a lot of work. Well, none of which was mine, other than the genius that was behind it. Just let all the other, slave labor work out the details. And they did an okay job, even if it wasn't perfect. Surely it will be good enough for my fan base. Anyway, I'm Director Jack Peterson, saying good day.
Thank you. Thank you for watching and for supporting us in everything that we've been doing from the filmmakers. And from my personal standpoint, thank you to the filmmakers, because now that I've finally got that IMDb profile, world domination is only so far away. So thank you again. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a freaking blast with the Throbbit, and stay in touch with everybody. We love your support.